Welcome back to some more interesting questions. Thank you for joining me. I kind of basically took a few days off. Hope you guys missed me. I'm sure some of you did. Most of you probably didn't. But the video I'm doing the commentary on today is a very interesting question. It's something that I actually learned about recently is Sulbury. I believe it's called Sulbury Hill in England. Um, I learned about this from a previous um, uh, video that I did. Uh, Sulbury Hill is a mound, or in the video that I did before, it's a pyramid of some sort. The video that I did basically said that it is a pyramid in England. And this mound is actually really close to Stonehenge. So when I found out about Sulbury Hill, I had said in that video, I said, well, I need to do a video on Sulbury Hill. I couldn't find much on it through my research, but I was able to find like kind of this like short video where they're kind of looking at the landscape of the region, and Sulbury Hill is part of this landscape. So, you know, I love pyramids. I mean, these megaliths are all over the earth. It's crazy not even to believe at this point in history that there was not some ancient society that they were communicating with one another, and they were all building the same monuments. They were building these megaliths. They're in Peru, like India, like Africa. They're all over Asia. They're all over China. They are everywhere. They're here in the United States. They're here in the U.S. There are pyramids in Ohio, which a lot of people probably don't even know. But these megaliths are all over the place. They exist. They're here. And, I just think, me looking at these videos, researching stuff, and just I've learned so much. And just through my little escapade here of trying out this YouTube channel and just giving my commentaries and my opinions on things. It's crazy. There's these structures are all over the earth. They're everywhere. They're even found underneath the ocean. There are pyramids that were found next to Cuba. This is back in I don't even know, I think 2012 or something. There were pyramids that were discovered underneath the ocean next to Cuba. These pyramidal structures next to Cuba, and oddly enough, after the people who were running these sonar scans of these structures, shortly after that, were denied access and told, you got to go. Bye, Felicia. Boop, you got to go. And so that, to me, that's, you got to question things like that. Like when governments come in and just say, hey, you don't have access here anymore, you got to go. When you're finding pyramidal structures deep underneath the ocean, because there was probably a prehistoric society that was more advanced than we are, probably more advanced than we are today. I can't say that definitively, or at least as advanced we are today. We can't even recreate the pyramids in Giza. We can't build those today. We can't recreate them the way that they were built. So it's a mystery, but at the same time, I think a lot of this stuff is suppressed. There's a lot of suppression going on here, and it's, you know, a lot of what, like Graham Hancock says, the academics of the research and so on and so forth, is that these people feel that their reputation is more important than actually getting down to the issues or finding out what's really going on. They care more about reputation, and so they look at it as like, oh well, we don't want to be wrong. We don't get wrong. Look, there's nothing wrong with being wrong. You just come out and say, well, yeah, we thought it was this way, we thought it was that way, we're wrong. Made a mistake. So I'm gonna get to this video here. This is English Heritage. Check them out. They got 1.3 million subscribers, so they're doing a pretty good job. And this is exploring the Avebury landscape, where this mound, the Sulbury Hill Mound, exists. So check out their content, English Heritage. I'm getting my video from them. So like I said, 1.3 million subscribers. They're doing something right. So, and if you like my video, please like, subscribe, smash that like button, as I say, and here we go. I'm gonna get to the video right now. Here we go.
The Avebury World Heritage Site is a unique complex of prehistoric monuments. Today we're going to be visiting some of the lesser known prehistoric monuments in the Avebury landscape. Most of these monuments are accessible and you can walk between them, and that gives you a really good sense of the whole landscape and how these monuments are connected together and the different fascinating stories that each monument has to tell. Sulbury Hill is the largest prehistoric monument in the whole of Europe, and it's a pretty dominant place here in the Avebury landscape. You can't really miss it when you drive past on the A4.
See, she said Sulbury Hill, but I've actually seen this spelled out as Sir with a U, Sulbury Hill. So I don't know if it's Sulbury or Sulbury Hill, because I said Sulbury, but that's how I seen it written. It was S-U-R, as in she has it as S-I-R. So I don't know. Don't quote me on that. One could be right, or they both could be wrong, for all I know.
Many people have thought, what on earth is inside this enormous mound? Is it a burial mound? Is there somebody rich inside, buried with grave goods? And in the past, people have been tunnelling into the mound to find out what was inside. And although they found out a lot about the different phases of the mound and how it had been constructed, there is no central burial. It's not a burial mound. It's a mound built for other purposes. Sulbury Hill is one of the final monuments to be built in this landscape in the Neolithic period. And it's built in this cluster of already existing monuments, but it's located in a really interesting place. It's located just at the point where the River Kennet springs out, and we think that the mound was perhaps built at the head of the river because this was a really important and perhaps sacred place. We've just walked up to West Kennet Long Barrow, which is one of the earliest monuments in the Avebury landscape. It's a long barrow, which is a funerary monument. It's where people buried their dead. And it's been fully excavated, which means it's been restored and that you can go inside it and see the chambers today. When archaeologists excavated the Long Barrow, they found the remains of about 36 individuals in here, a whole community of people. But they seem to have been brought into the space and then moved around. Sometimes some of the skulls have been moved over to one side of the chamber, or the long bones all put together. And there seem to have been different people placed in the different chambers. Some of them seem to have been specially for older people, some of them specially for children. So there's some sort of division based on age and gender inside the space.
So what I say is odd. about these stone structures. Those look a little more crude, like they could have been like more primitive or more recent. When I say primitive, I say more recent humans may have built them, maybe in the past couple thousand years. But I'm saying is the structures, look at Peru. Like, I have a video on Peru, the structures in Peru. And the Mayan road, which is crazy. It's all over the country. It's a road that was built. And it was like some astronomical number. It was thousands of miles of road was built. And like I said, these structures are a bit more crude. Like, they seem more primitive in the senses when I talk about ancient, like Mayan, like Peruvian, monoliths or structures or whatever. They are done with crazy precision, like insane precision. And it just blows your mind. Just to see these structures and how they were built, to tell me that these were primitive people where they're building true north. The temples are built to true north. Your compass does not predict true north. There's an offset on a compass. So how they built these things, knowing these things, is crazy, because we have to have additional instruments on a compass. It does not directly point true north. So we have to calculate to find true north. These people built these structures. The pyramid in Giza and the Great Pyramid is 100% set to true north. And it's actually considered to be right in the center of the earth. Like, perfectly aligned to the center of the earth. And what I say is, you look at these stone structures here, it seems crude. Like I said, it's crude because it seems much more primitive. That people maybe back in the 300s or something like that may have built these structures.
The long barrow that we see today has this really impressive stone facade at the front, but it's actually slightly misleading. The largest stones that stand in the middle of that facade are blocking stones. So these were added to the monument right at the end of its use, when the chambers had been filled up, around about 1,000 years after it was first constructed. This big windswept grassy hill is called Windmill Hill, and it might not look very much today, but it's actually the site of one of the most important monuments and earliest monuments in the Avebury landscape. It's a site of what we call a causewayed enclosure. There are 3 circuits of ditches creating a special space. And we think that these monuments were places where people gathered together in large numbers. At this time, people were probably quite dispersed in the landscape, and they may have come here to exchange goods, to find marriage partners, to exchange cattle, perhaps to conduct rituals and ceremonies, including some funerary rituals. So it's a really important site for us understanding early Neolithic life, and for also understanding how archaeological ideas have changed over the 20th century. To fully understand the monument, it's a really good idea to go and visit the Alexander Keeler Museum in the middle of Avebury, where they have quite a lot of the finds from this site on display, including the Windmill Hill pottery. We're standing at the sanctuary.
Crazy to see that video. Like, you have like these structures, ancient structures and all this stuff, like in England. Because it's like we don't have we don't have ancient structures. Obviously, England was established thousands and thousands of years ago, so it's crazy. But you see these highways driving past these structures and these these monoliths like Sulbury Hill and Stonehenge and stuff like that. You just have highways driving past it. So, here in the US, like, yeah, we have modern, monuments, but they have like actual ancient monuments that people just drive past every day. It's just, I mean, to me, it just that just seems crazy.
Which is a really lovely little monument that not many people know about. Originally, the sanctuary would have been 2 stone circles, one set within the other, and then around them and inside them were standing timber posts. We don't know exactly what those posts would have looked like because, of course, they've rotted away, but we think they may have been standing quite tall and possibly with a linteled linked top, so horizontal timbers linking the circular settings of posts. After the site was excavated in 1930, they marked out the post holes and the stone holes with these concrete blocks. The red ones show timber posts and the blue rectangular ones show where stones once stood. And in the middle of the monument, it's quite a complicated layout, but it almost looks like there are 4 avenues of posts, basically directed on the cardinal directions. So they're almost spaces that people were coming into and processing into the centre of the monument. And it would have been quite a special inner sanctuary from the wider landscape. We think that the sanctuary was built at around the same time as Avebury Henge and Stone Circles, and it's actually linked to that monument by an avenue. The avenue is made up of 2 parallel rows of stones, which lead off down into the valley behind me and skirt around Waden Hill and approach the Henge, about 1.5 miles away. So we think this monument was part of the ceremonial complex of Avebury, and people might have processed up and down the avenue to reach it. All of the sites we've explored.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, like the link between that, and seeing that like ceremonial sites, or like, some people theorize like pagan sites, or that was one of the things with Stonehenge is it was a pagan site, but they say the alignments of certain stones and certain things that they're just saying astronomically aligned. They're just kind of like, was it really pagans that built the structure? So, and like I said, these structures, they exist all over the earth. They're literally all over the earth. And it's crazy, but yeah, that's interesting. Like that's something I didn't know. Sulbury Hill, didn't really know much about. I'm gonna try and find a better video on Sulbury Hill that I can go on, because she just kind of gave you a brief explanation, but like I said in a previous video I did, it was more or less explained that it's England's pyramid. And it even said in that video that Sulbury Hill may actually be older than the pyramids in Giza. That's what they're claiming. I'm not saying that. That's what that video was saying. The mound potentially could be older than the pyramid, dated back older than the pyramids in Giza. So
today are free and publicly accessible. So it's worth spending a bit of time and coming out and exploring some of the lesser known prehistoric monuments in the Avebury World Heritage Site.
Woodman Hill is owned by the National Trust and is in English Heritage guardianship, along with the sanctuary and the West Kennet Longborough. It is managed by the National Trust on behalf of English Heritage, and the 2 organizations share the cost of managing and maintaining these properties. So, I guess, yeah, they're considered national monuments, or you could deem something a national landmark here in the U.S. So obviously but it's good that they're preserving these landmarks, considering like she said, is it a burial mound or something? She's saying no, it's much different than that. So people had a lot of time on their hands in the past, and they were building stuff. So, or maybe there is a burial mound on there. Who knows? If you haven't excavated it or you haven't really looked in more detail, but I heard the mound is huge. I heard it's like 130 feet high or something. So, yeah, it's crazy. So I'm gonna look more into it. But thank you for joining me on this video. Like I said, you like my commentary on this, please like, subscribe, share the video, and I'm going to go ahead, got to do the news scene. We got interesting questions here, and we got the peace sign, and I give you one of my own. Peace out. Thanks for joining me.